welcome to the NorthOps Fire Weather Webcast for Friday, June 7th, 2024. Clusters of storm cells impacted mainly the northern tier of the region yesterday and resulted in 224 lightning strikes. Based on the rainfall estimates, some of the main rain cores produce a quarter of an inch and locally much more in some areas. The most by measurement was 4/10 at the Van Bremer Ross site located in eastern Siskiyou County. The most recent water vapor loop from GOES 16 shows another weaker shortwave disturbance moving over the northwest corner of the state and could serve as a catalyst for some instability there. Otherwise, a more noticeable trough approaches from the Pacific. Visible satellite this morning reveals patchy low clouds across the Bay Area, otherwise sunnier skies. Some partial shading due to moderate cumulus development is expected over the north and east today, otherwise quite a bit of sun will exist. As mentioned, the Pacific shortwave will brush northern portions of the region today, otherwise all eyes will be on the more distinct Pacific trough passage during the weekend. Ridging will likely return for the earlier half of next week, although not as pronounced compared to the past few days. The ridge is expected to break down sometime late next week if the model trends hold. We are past the early season heat wave, but temperatures will remain quite a bit warmer than normal today before additional cooling occurs during the weekend. Temperatures will trend warmer during the earlier half of next week with some pretty strong warm anomalies in areas. Northern California is destined for another cool down later in the week. Thunderstorm chances will be more minimal today, with isolated activity possible across the north. Chances increase on Saturday. These lightning probability graphics are valid for Saturday afternoon and show higher probabilities across the northern tier. The two different model outputs indicate slight differences in the higher probability placement. Storm cells will contain localized footprints over a quarter of an inch, but plenty of lightning will occur outside of the main rain cores. Storms will tend to move from west to east or southwest to northeast. The storm potential will shift eastward on Sunday, placing the higher threat across the Modoc Plateau and northern Washoe County. Once again, a mix of wet and dry cell activity should occur. A drier forecast is anticipated for the rest of the 7-day period. Areas of breezy to locally windy northwest, west, and southwesterly winds will occur this afternoon and evening, favoring the Modoc Plateau, east of the Crest, in the greater Bay Area. The strongest winds should be felt across the East Bay and Delta region. Note the small thunderstorm outflow wind signatures across the far north. This forecast image is valid at 1700 today. Areas of breeziness will continue on Saturday, with outflow winds likely containing the strongest speeds. Note the large downdraft signal across Lassen County. This forecast image is valid at 1700 Saturday. Wind speeds could increase a tad on Sunday, with breezy to locally windy conditions favoring the East Bay and Far East. Once again, outflows will pose a concern where thunderstorms develop. This forecast image is valid at 1700 Sunday. Not a whole lot of change is expected for the earlier half of next week, with seasonal areas of breeziness continuing. Outflow winds are not expected to be a concern. There is a potential for a more enhanced west-southwesterly wind flow late next week, and we'll be monitoring. This GFS wind forecast is valid at 1700 Thursday. Minor fluctuations in humidity will continue, with some moderation expected through Sunday, then some lowering during the earlier half of next week. Inland areas such as the Sacramento Valley foothills, Northeast California, and Far East Side PSAs will experience the lowest readings with upper teens, 20s, 30s, and 40s. The marine layer influences will also fluctuate some, with deepening during the weekend, then gradually becoming a little more suppressed the earlier half of next week. Not seeing any critically dry, area-wide air masses during the next 7 days. This forecast image is valid at 1400 today. The 7-day significant fire potential product shows a mix of risk, but generally quite a bit of low risk, tied to unusually dry dead fuels, curing herbaceous fuels below around 4,000 feet, periods of breeziness, and some lightning potential in areas. A couple of moderate risks show up late in the forecast period due to the potential for some enhanced wind flows combined with low to marginally low humidity. In summary, Warm temperatures and thunderstorm potential will continue through the weekend, although cooling will also be apparent. More seasonal wind speed conditions with areas of breeziness and some locally windy locations at times through midweek. Then a more elevated potential for enhanced wind flows area wide late next week. No critically dry air masses on the horizon, but there will be areas that experience breezier conditions with low to marginally low humidities. Outflow winds will serve as a wild card through the weekend.